In the second month of 191 AD, Sun Jian, who had just been defeated by Xu Rong, gathered his soldiers and stationed them in Yangren, waiting for an opportunity to fight again to wipe out the previous humiliation. When Dong Zhuo heard about it, he immediately sent Hu Zhen as commander-in-chief, Lu Bu and Hua Xiong as vice-general with 5,000 men to meet him. As Sun Jian's defense was very tight, coupled with the fact that Lu Bu spread rumors and disturbed the army because he was at odds with Hu Zhen, this forced Hu Zhen to withdraw his army. Sun Jian seized the opportunity to go out of the city to pursue the attack and defeated Hu Zhen, and Hua Xiong was beheaded. With the help of Lu Bu, Sun Jian became famous in the battle and achieved the first victory of the Guandong army against Dong Zhuo. When Dong Zhuo saw that Sun Jian was so heroic, he was attracted by his talent, so he sent Li Ju to persuade Sun Jian, promising him a marriage and an official position, only to be rejected by Sun Jian's impassioned words. Sun Jian's heroic qualities made Dong Zhuo sigh in awe, loving and hating him. Soon Sun Jian marched into Luoyang, and Dong Zhuo personally led his troops to fight. After a fierce battle, Sun Jian won a great victory, and Dong Zhuo left Lu Bu as a cover, and ran to Miangkai himself. Sun Jian took advantage of the victory, and attacked the city of Luoyang. Lu Bu led his army to meet the attack, and was again defeated by the godlike Sun Jian, and the ancient capital of Luoyang was finally recovered by Sun Jian. After entering the city and seeing the miserable scene, Sun Jian was overwhelmed with emotion and burst into tears. He ordered his troops to clean the ancestral shrine of the Han dynasty, and made a grand sacrifice. Afterwards, Sun Jian reorganized his troops, and planned to attack Dong Zhuo again. At this point Sun Jian had become Dong Zhuo's only fear. Dong Zhuo really did not dare to fight him again, so he left Dong Yu to guard Miangkai, Wan Wei to guard Luoyang, and Niu Fu to guard Angyi. After the armies occupied the fortresses, he retreated to Chang'an. Seeing that Dong Zhuo's layout was too strict to be conquered, Sun Jian had to repair the excavated tomb of the Han dynasty, and led his troops back to Luoyang. At the same time, the Guandong Alliance army was officially disbanded, and the crusade against Dong Zhuo came to an abrupt end. Although this was nominally a joint crusade against Dong Zhuo, apart from Cao Cao and Sun Jian, and a few others, most of the warlords didn't actually take part in the war, and the results of the two battles, the capture of Luoyang and the retreat of Dong Zhuo, were entirely achieved by Sun Jian's lone battle. The various groups of warlords, however, are more in preservation of strength. Watching, not only did they fail to further befriend each other during this period, but they also made a lot of enmity, leading to a further escalation of friction. As expected, Yuan Shao went to war with Gong Sunzan, who was entrenched in Yuzhou, after taking over the territory of Han Fu, the governor of Jizhou. Yuan Shu in Nanyang not only flipped out with his brother, Yuan Shao, but also fell out with Liu Biao in Jingzhou, causing Sun Jian to be killed by Huangzi when he attacked Liu Biao. Cao Cao started to attack Tao Qian in Xuzhou because of his personal grudge, and other forces were also involved in the conflict, and China, at the late of the Han dynasty, quickly entered the most chaotic stage. As for the poor Emperor Xian of Han, no one cared whether he was dead or alive. Seeing that the warlords could not be counted on, the courtiers could only seek to assassinate Dong Zhuo from the inside, so under Xun Yu's planning, Wu Fu, the Weqi retainer, stepped forward to be the assassin. Wu Fu hid his sword in his clothes, and went to see Dong Zhuo, who received him cordially, and the two of them had a good talk, and then Dong Zhuo not only went out to see him off, but also put his arm around Wu Fu's shoulder in a very cordial manner. Wu Fu saw the opportunity and suddenly drew his sword, and stabbed Dong Zhuo. Although Dong Zhuo was fat, He was a soldier and reacted very quickly. He retreated a few steps and dodged Wu Fu's stab. Wu Fu was killed on the spot. Xun Yu was also arrested and imprisoned, and since then, Dong Zhuo, who felt that no one could be trusted, became more and more temperamental, cruel and tyrannical, especially towards the bureaucrats at all levels of the scholarly family, and was even more full of suspicion. At that time, among the ministers in the imperial court, the one who was most trusted by Dong Zhuo was Wang Yun, who was also from a scholarly family, and was promoted by Dong Zhuo to be the Chancellor of Masses, became the second most important person after Dong Zhuo. When Dong Zhuo was not in Chang'an, the government was handed over to Wang Yun, but to his surprise, Wang Yun also wanted to get rid of himself and take the supreme power in his place. Having learnt that there was a conflict between Dong Zhuo and his foster son Lu Bu, Wang Yun secretly summoned Lu Bu to meet him, who had long had the intention of opposing Dong Zhuo, so the two of them hit it off and secretly plotted. April 192 AD, Emperor Shan of Han met with all the officials of the court at the Luoyang Hall, and Dong Zhuo entered the court in a carriage wearing a court dress. Lu Bu had Li Su, another general, lie in ambush at the north gate, while he himself accompanied to guard. As soon as Dong Zhuo's carriage entered the door, Li Su suddenly rushed out with his halberd and stabbed Dong Zhuo. Because Dong Zhuo also wore a layer of iron armor within his court dress, Li Su's strength was limited, and his halberd did not penetrate the iron armor. So Dong Zhuo was only injured in the arm and not in any way hurt. Dong Zhuo turned around and shouted where Lu Bu was. Lu Bu arrived in response and stabbed Dong Zhuo with an iron spear, running Dong Zhuo's iron armor back and forth, killing him instantly. Tian Yi, a recorder, and one of Dong Zhuo's servants came forward to hold Dong Zhuo's body, but they were immediately stabbed by Lu Bu, so the scene was silent, and no one dared to come forward anymore. Afterwards, Wang Yun slaughtered the whole clan of Dong Zhuo, and took over the administration of the government, and Lu Bu was appointed as a Marquis of Wen County. Dong Zhuo, the lord of the generation who set the precedent for warlordism at the late Han dynasty, bid a hasty farewell to the stage of history. With the traitor dead, the court was in jubilation. The long night of the Han Empire seemed to have ushered in a ray of light, and the 12-year-old Emperor Shan of Han could finally put an end to his nightmare and welcome the dawn. But what he didn't expect was that instead of the good life he had imagined, the more terrible suffering had just begun.